This is a foundation inspection. We're at the rear elevation. Looking at the foundation, we can see here that we have the foundation exposed. It should actually be, the grade should come up to about 4 inches from the brick line. And on the back here we have a deck. The problem with the deck is that it's covering up the foundation. We can't see it properly. But there's another problem, and that is the wood is in contact with the ground, and that's a conducive condition for termites. Now that's not so much a problem. You should observe it, should look at it, and get it treated for termites from time to time. If you find them, that is. A good termite inspector will find them if they're there. We're moving along the front of the foundation at the rear now, looking at the rear foundation. This is good, 4 inches away. We've got good grade, it's sloping away from the foundation. Here, the grade actually comes up a bit too high. It's okay, it's not touching the brickwork, but it doesn't want to get any higher than that. Now here we have a lot of erosion. Not sure what's causing the erosion. We have a gutter system, which is good. But we've got a lot of erosion here, and I think what it is the fence is damming the flow of water. You see they're blocked at the bottom there, and the only way the water can flow out is come under the actual fence itself, and it comes under in quite force and erodes. And this fence here's got rot on it, and that needs to be fixed, because that again is a conducive condition for termites. Let's continue around. We're on the left hand elevation of the property. Still looking at foundation and grade. Apart from the fence causing a damming effect, this has got a good swale that drains down to the front yard. Here we are at the front elevation. Here are the sewer clear outs. That's the front elevation. And foundation is looking okay. It's very rare to find cracks in foundations, especially these foundations. They're post-tension cable foundations, and they are very resilient. They bend, they're malleable. But we look to see, because if there are cracks, it's a major problem. There's none here, as we can see at the moment. Here we've got the grade. Actually, it's the landscaping. It's coming too high. It's touching the brickwork. You just have to rake it back, that's all. Now at the front right elevation, all's looking good here. Okay, we're at the front right, and we have a quarter pot, nothing really to worry about. And now we're at the right elevation. Got good slope away. I can see here the downpipe's got an extension to it. It's very good. Removes water from the foundation itself. And we're now moving to the rear elevation. Okay, so we have post-tension cable end showing here. We're at the rear elevation, and you can see here, it's going close. See the crack? It's running up the wall here. It's running up at a angle, and it's about 5-6 foot up the wall. We have another one here that's coming back down to the foundation. Now this is classic differential settlement, and it's very common in Texas. And I can see here some remedial work's been carried out on the grade. You can see that we have a little bit of the foundation exposed here. And what has probably happened in the past, the ground has settled because this was allowed to erode, and somebody's come in and rebuilt the actual grade around here to stop this settlement. Now it's very common to find this in Texas. So we have a crack here and a crack there, and we are located at the rear right elevation. We have a corner pop here. There's no need to worry about corner pops, they're cosmetic. And now we're at the rear elevation where we started. We just go into the backyard. Where we started here. This is a roof inspection. We are at the rear elevation. We've got shingles here that have come off the roof by the look of it, and more shingles here. We can't see where they are at the present time. Now, I'm not going to climb on this roof, it's too steep, and I need specialist safety harnesses and ropes to get on it. But I have a camera on a 30-foot pole, so we'll be able to see very closely what's up there. Well, this is going to be an inspection of the eaves and soffits. Yeah, there's a hole in the trim up there that's going to allow insects in. You need to have that sealed. Very easy, just get it sealed up. So, have a soffit vent here. Generally look at the condition of the roof at the lower level before we get the camera out to go up to the higher levels. Soffit vents. Now we have exposed nail heads at the penetrations. They should be corked. If they're not corked, they can rust out, and then you get a hole in the roof. Zoom in on the penetration, and let's have a difficulty focusing. Now that's better. So you can see the nails in this area here. This is the left elevation. There's no evidence of shingles missing at this elevation. There's a tree coming close here. It's not in contact, but it is coming close. All trees should be cut back from around the property. You do not want them touching the roof because they damage it very quickly. We're at the front elevation at the left. Again, we're looking at conditions of soffits. We have a block gutter up here. That needs to be fixed. There's some holes in the brickwork here and here. They need to be sealed. Now we have common settlement at the porch here. And you can see over here where the keystone is. The settlement is out about 1/8 of an inch. You see here, this 1/8 of an inch gap. Let's go back out, we might be able to see it a bit better. This area here, it's settling over the arch, it's settling here. What actually happens is, the arch is supported by this column here, and it's subject to movement, and as it moves apart, and you get this typical cracking here, here, and here. At the moment that needs to be rechased and repointed. So you chase out the broken mortar and remortar it. We're at the front right elevation. I noticed earlier as I was coming around, you can see down here, it's wet. Okay, water is getting in behind the wall system. We've had extensive rain here in the last couple of days. I can tell you exactly where it's coming from. There are 2 points. First is the brickwork here. The mortar is cracked and broken. There's a gap there, it's going to allow the water to pass through. There's holes in the walls here in the mortar. That needs to be repointed. It's also here, you've got holes in the mortar. That needs to be repointed. So that needs to be fixed. Then we'll deal with the windows. All the way around the house, the windows are have got very poor caulking. You see here we have a hole. See if I can get it to focus for you. That's better. We've got a hole down here, holes all the way along here. That mortar, that caulking is totally ineffective, and that's going to allow water in. Again, we're at the front window. This is the front right. Right down the corner here we have a hole in the caulking, all the way around here, all the way up here. Poor caulking. I recommend the caulking is repaired around the whole of the house. This caulking would have been all installed at the same time. It's deteriorated at the same time, and you can see it's in very poor condition, and that's leading to water getting behind the walls. And you can see it here. See how that water's run out? So let's continue. We're at the right elevation. We can't observe it properly, so we're now going to use the elevated camera. there's a water leak up here. You can see there's a hole. You see the light coming through? Well, these move, and they're supposed to move, but there should be prevention for water to come in. And you can see here there's a water line running down. Very difficult to see actually. You'll have to trust me, although I might be able to get a photograph of it. Okay, I've got evidence of where the water's going. It's here. In fact, it's damp. So we have an active water leak in the attic at the flue for furnace, and this furnace doesn't have a number on it. We don't know what furnace this is. There's only one. Let's see if we can find another. I'm not sure. It's going out there. We'll go and have a look. Heat number 2. Okay, so there's another furnace somewhere. Matter of deciding where. This is furnace number 2, and we have an active water leak at this furnace. It's coming through the flashings, and the decking here on the joist is wet, quite considerably wet. So good when we get rain like this, we can find these things out. It's often very difficult when we've had a prolonged period of dry to find these subtle little leaks hiding away in the attic. So there are 2 active water leaks in the attic at the flue flashings for both the heaters. I'm in the attic. We're looking at the general structure for signs of leaking. We have 2 attic vents there and a 3rd one mounted in the upper attic up there. Structurally we're looking fine. These along here are purlins. These are purlin supports. They stiffen the attic, stop it moving. Holds the roof in place when you get high winds. Additional purlin down the bottom there, it's good. Okay. So up here you see we have a purlin. We have a valley coming down, that comes down in the backyard. We've had a look at that. Actually, that's not a purlin, that is a ridgeboard. There's the ridgeboard there. Now my concern is this area here. A considerable amount of roof here. We have a purlin here, a considerable amount of roof, and there's no purlin here. So I'm concerned about the structure. I think you should have a roofer look at this. My recommendation would be for a purlin to run along here with supports coming down to the joists, and another purlin running along here. I'm in the upper floor, 2nd floor, and what I'm concerned about, well, not too concerned, typical here, you can see this crack in the sheetrock. Well, that's that settlement. We're on the garage, we're above the garage, and the crack in the wall is below us here. As the building settles, so it stresses the upper roof section, and we get cracks appearing, typically in the sheetrock. Here we've got another one here, and it's exactly where I expect it. It's the opposite side, almost exactly the opposite side to where the little bit of settlement is going on. Now, settlement, as I explained when I found it outside, is common here. It looks like there's been some remedial work to arrest it. You should ask the sellers what they've done and what was their intention of rebuilding the grade. Got a nail pop here. Next thing is to see whether or not the doors stick. That one doesn't. Neither does that. So yeah, a little bit of common settlement. Nothing to be too concerned about, but to be monitored. It's continuous all the time. In the Metroplex, we have what they call expansive reactive soils. And when it rains, all the buildings rise. And when it dries out, we've got a drought, all the buildings sink. And this rise and fall, this constant change through the seasons, causes the cracks that we see commonly in the buildings in and around this part of Texas. We're looking at the floors on the ground floor, looking for cracks in the tiles, movement in the baseboards. They give us an indication that we've got movement. Now, over the top of the veneer floors, we can't tell anything. All we could do is look at places which have tiles on them. Bathrooms, frankly, are the only areas. There are no cracks present in the tiles. We're going to check now the floor in the laundry. And we have no cracks here, so that's good news. It's all looking good. There's a little bit of movement, but nothing of any great significance. No cracks in the flooring that we can see of. All told, not bad. CAC, we have some dings on the fins. Had a bit of hail recently. It could have been recently done. I'm going to check that we've got the right rating on the fuses. The maximum fuse here is 20. So we check that that's so on the electrical service panel. And what have we got here? Okay, we have a breaker of 50 and 20, that's fine. The breaker size called for was 60, but it's 50. It doesn't matter if it's less, it matters if it's more, so all good. This is the main board. We've got copper service lines coming in. Yep, and all copper wiring in the board itself. Board is nicely wired. One problem is up here we have incorrect screw being put in. I'm going to put it back down here where it'll do no harm. Up here it could cut a cable and cause electrocution. I recommend it's replaced ASAP, not left as it is. Even though it is not likely to cause harm here, somebody might move it. This is the water meter serving the house. The centre boss there would be turning if there was water running. All the water is turned off in the house, and you can see there's no movement in that. It indicates there's no leaks in the freshwater system of the house. This is a water heater, it's electric. There was another water heater installed in the house at some point. You can see the pipes here. So there's only one water heater serving the house, when originally when it was built there would have been two. It's a temperature pressure relief valve. That's working fine. Looking for corrosion on the pipes. No sign of corrosion on the pipes. Very difficult to age water heaters. All we can do is really just look at them, try to see if there's anything that's particularly wrong. This water heater doesn't have a safety pan. Should be a safety pan here. It was code when this house was built. It's just been missed. It was probably not inspected in those days, and as a consequence, you know, it got installed and no safety pan was installed. Dishwasher, been through a cycle, tray open, in good condition. Food disposal, that's in good condition. Dishwasher doesn't have an anti-siphon device. Here's the range. And the lights. Under here we should have the valve. We do. All's correct. The oven's been on for an hour or so. We set the temperature at 350. And somebody turned it off. We had the homeowners in here earlier and they were doing everything. Anyway, we'll reset this and check the temperature a little bit later.
Hello, my name is Craig Ackman with Drop Dead Pest Control. You can reach me at 972-359-0803. Today I've done the inspection on the out here in the colony on this particular property. We're standing on a wood deck. The wood deck is painted, but we have put the camera underneath here to take a look to see. Paint is actually a treatment to help protect wood, but it is not painted on the underside of this deck, so therefore that makes this a very conducive condition, as well as the posts for this deck are touching the ground, which is wood to ground contact. Termites are looking for water first, and then they're looking for wood secondly. So this is going to retain moisture under here, underneath the deck. The soil will always be that, and it's above the foundation line, as you can see. So there's no way to really be able to see what kind of activity is going on or not going on right down there. So therefore that's why this deck has been written up as termite conducive condition for activity, and I recommend that a treatment be done on it. We also found some spider eggs underneath here, which is common in general pest control. There are little spiders throughout the house. The house has also had some rodent activity. The house also has some odorous house ants that are over here at the edge. That are crawling. They're going to be difficult to see on that camera, but they're in this area on the wall, getting in through this crack right here, and if they're treated incorrectly, they will go away for a brief time and multiply. They can also make satellite nests inside of walls. They're also ones that are looking for moisture. That's an extra bonus with yellow hat inspection you get in the pest control. Now that's not a wood destroying insect, so therefore, you know, that's not an emergent. The deck, on the other hand, as being the state reporter, I would have to recommend the treatment because of the structure itself, the wood to ground contact, and that there are no signs that a termite treatment has ever been done on this house. So as far as the rest of the house goes, we do have some live carpenter ants which are in the front of the house. Carpenter ants are notorious for being with the crepe myrtle tree. And we have mulch that's out here, and we have some where they've been they make satellite nests, and so in between the wall they've made a nest. And one of the ways that you can tell that is by frass. Frass is like sawdust and a technical name for a sign of carpenter ants that we have in the wall. And what we have right here is frass material. It's brass material, and outside of this window, which is in the front, you'll notice a crepe myrtle tree, and there's two different kinds of mulch out there. One's a cedar mulch, one's a regular type of mulch, let's say, and the cedar mulch is supposed to repel bugs, but carpenter ants are notorious for being in crepe myrtle trees. They love to nest in the roots of those trees, and therefore it's very common to find them in the bushes. The trees and the bushes are also touching the structure, which they should not be allowed to do. They should be cut away from the house. The trees are also touching the structure in various areas, and they should not be able to do that. So therefore it has been written up as a conducive condition because of the foliage being high. The carpenter ants do serve a purpose, and they excavate wood, but they don't know the difference between the woods and the house. So as soon as they find a way in, they can multiply and have satellite nests, and therefore another reason why I've recommended a treatment. The last thing with the pest control is that we've had some rodent activity in the garage where they've gotten in the wall before. And I'm going to show you where that is right there. It needs to be sealed up. It also, needs to get the stations placed for the rodents, because it's obviously had a problem before, and it's which is uncommon because we've lost most of the predatory creatures that would naturally take care of rodents, so they've been able to multiply. So we have to do it this way. But if you look right here, you can see this hole that's going into the wall right there. That's made from a rodent going in there and burrowing in there. And that's probably the Norway rat. The Norway rat, the roof rat, and the field mice are very common. They all have different home ranges. The Norway rat home range is 100 yards. So they definitely have made a nest here before. There are no signs that there's been an ongoing treatment. That does not mean that there has not been a treatment done, because I see no live activity of rodents at this particular moment in time. But I know that they have been here at one point in time when we start talking about the lifetime of the structure. Once again, my name is Craig Ackman. I'm with Drop Dead Pest Control. You can reach me at 972-359-0803. Thank you.
Cover is hanging loose. I'm not going to put it in report, it just needs pushing back into place. Both furnaces are running for heating. This is the hatch, access to the attic above us. We're actually in the guest bathroom on the lower floor, and because of its location it should have a weather seal on here. The reason we want a weather seal is twofold. First thing is heat can come in from the attic in the summer and cold in the winter, but more importantly, because this is a damp area, moisture can migrate through the door, the openings, into the attic, and that can cause you problems. So that needs to have a weather seal on that door. the toilet tank in the upper bathroom is overfilling. I turned this oven on twice. First I thought somebody had turned it off, but it didn't heat. I set it at temperature and I left it, and it didn't heat up at all. So it could be I've got the instructions wrong. I'm not sure. I may not be using it properly. However, it should be verified that this cooker does work. Now, having said that, it's a brand new cooker, oven. I think it'd be covered by the manufacturer's warranty, which you should be getting from your sellers.